What if the very thing you are doing to save yourself is the exact mechanism slowly destroying you? What if the countless hours you spend trying to fix your mind, heal your trauma, and optimize your soul are actually acts of profound violence against yourself? Think about your own life. You are lying in bed at 3 in the morning. The room is completely silent, but your mind is deafening. There is that familiar, suffocating tightness in the center of your chest. The dread feels heavy, physical, like wet sand in your lungs. And what do? You immediately try to fix it. You cycle through the podcasts you listened to, the therapy tools you memorized, the breathing exercises, the journaling prompts. You analyze your childhood. You treat your own pain like a software bug that needs to be urgently coded out of existence. But it fails. The anxiety does not leave. It digs its claws in deeper. Why? Because the desperate need to heal is often just your ego wearing a different mask. It is a refusal to accept who you are right now. Look around us. We are drowning in an obsession with self-improvement. We are told from the moment we wake up that we are unfinished projects requiring constant optimization. We buy specialized journals. We attend silent retreats. We psychoanalyze our own memories until they are stripped of all their blood and bone, leaving behind only sterile clinical terms, attachment styles, trauma responses, triggers, dysregulation. We use these words like weapons against our own humanity. We think we are doing the deep work. We think we are elevating our consciousness. But are we? The renowned psychoanalyst Carl Jung warned us about this exact trap. He taught us about the shadow. The shadow is everything inside you that you refuse to acknowledge. It is your anger, your grief, your irrational pettiness, your profound exhaustion, your ugly jealousy. And here is the terrifying secret about the modern healing industry. When you aggressively try to heal a part of yourself, you are unconsciously pushing it straight into the shadow. You are looking at a vulnerable piece of your soul and saying, "You are broken, you are wrong, and I will eradicate you." That is not healing. That is an execution. Think about what happens when you try to force positivity or practice toxic detachment. You write down daily affirmations. You force a smile in the mirror. You tell yourself you are letting go of the people who abandoned you. You convince yourself you are above the anger. But the body keeps the score, and the shadow keeps the receipts. By violently rejecting your own brokenness, you give that brokenness immense subterranean power. The part of you that feels deeply inadequate, does not magically disappear just because you meditated for 20 minutes or chanted a mantra. It retreats into the dark, it waits, it builds pressure. And then, it sabotages your relationships, it destroys your peace, and it floods your nervous system with panic when you least expect it. The harder you fight to become the perfect, healed, enlightened version of yourself, the stronger your inner demons become. You are locked in a vicious civil war inside your own mind, and you are exhausted. I know you are exhausted. The constant, unending vigilance required to monitor your own thoughts, to catch your own cognitive distortions, to police your own emotions. It takes a terrifying toll. You are treating yourself like an enemy combatant. We even use the concept of healing to build a new persona. The persona, in Jungian terms, is the mask we wear for society to make ourselves acceptable. Some people wear the mask of the successful executive. Some wear the mask of the perfect, flawless parent. But today, a vast majority of us are wearing the mask of the healed person. The healed person goes to therapy every week. The healed person speaks in calm, measured tones. The healed person sets rigid boundaries and drinks green juice and never, ever loses their temper. It is a flawless, heavily curated, deeply suffocating performance. It is a plastic existence. The moment you start treating your healing journey as a status symbol or a moral badge of honor, you have lost the path entirely. You are just polishing your chains and calling it freedom. You are hiding behind the aesthetics of wellness to avoid the terrifying reality of being human. Consider how this infects our romantic relationships. you sit across from your partner during an argument. Instead of feeling the raw, messy emotion of the conflict, you instantly step outside of yourself. You start analyzing them. You label their behavior as a trauma response. You label your own reaction as an anxious avoidant trigger. You turn a deeply human moment of friction into a clinical diagnosis. You build an invisible glass wall between yourself and the person you love, all in the name of being healthy and communicative. But true intimacy requires friction. It requires two messy, unoptimized human beings colliding with each other. By trying to perfectly manage the relationship, you kill the lifeblood of it. You sanitize the love until there is nothing left but theory. Now, let us look to the wisdom of the East. 2,000 years ago, the Taoist philosopher Lao Tzu spoke of a concept called pu, the uncarved block. In its natural state, a block of wood has infinite potential. It is complete entirely because it is untouched. It does not need to justify its existence. But human beings cannot leave the block alone. We want to carve it. We want to chisel away the rough edges to make it into a beautiful, socially acceptable statue. We want to be useful. We want to be admired. We apply this exact same violence to our own psyche. We take the sharp chisel of self-improvement and we start hacking away at our own minds. We cut off our grief because it makes us unproductive at work. We sand down our anger because it makes us unlikable at dinner parties. We carve ourselves into perfectly symmetrical, easily digestible shapes. But in doing so, we lose the raw, vital essence of who we actually are. We become hollowed out. We look beautiful on the outside, but inside, the structural integrity of our soul is collapsing. The Taoist principle of Wu Wei offers the antidote. Wu Wei is frequently misunderstood in the West as doing absolutely nothing, a sort of spiritual laziness. This is entirely incorrect. Wu Wei is non-forcing. It is the wisdom of the river that flows around the massive boulder, rather than trying to punch a hole straight through it. When applied to your inner life, Wu Wei is a radical, terrifying proposition. What happens if you stop forcing your own healing? What happens if you look at the gaping, bleeding wound in your psyche and you drop the bandages, drop the scalpels, and simply sit beside it? No analyzing. No attempting to fix. Just pure, unadulterated witnessing. This goes against every single instinct you have been taught by modern society. You have been conditioned to believe that if you do not actively fight your darkness, it will consume you whole. But the exact opposite is true. Darkness only consumes you when you are terrified of it. When you stop fighting, when you stop trying to carve the block, the pain stops being an invading enemy, it becomes a teacher. Carl Jung called this process individuation. Individuation is not about becoming perfect. It is not about reaching a state of perpetual bliss. It is about becoming whole. And wholeness requires you to integrate the things you find utterly repulsive about yourself. It requires you to invite your monsters to the dinner table. Imagine your psyche as a massive, sprawling house. For years, you have been locking your unwanted emotions in the basement. You locked away the inner child who was violently rejected. You locked away the teenager who felt deeply ugly and inadequate. You locked away the adult who is terrified of the future. You spend all your waking energy guarding that basement door. That is what your chronic anxiety actually is. It is the frantic, exhausting physical effort required to keep the heavy door shut. True healing. The kind of healing that does not require a subscription or a 10-step morning routine begins the exact second you take your hand off the doorknob. You let the door swing open. You let the monsters walk up the stairs and into the living room. Think about the devastating experience of deep heartbreak. The modern impulse is to heal from it immediately. We are told to move on, to hit the gym, to focus on our careers. We try to aggressively logic our way out of the suffering. We tell our friends, "They were not right for me anyway. I dodged a bullet. I learned a valuable lesson." This is a lie we tell ourselves to avoid the sheer terror of free-falling into grief. Zen Buddhism teaches us about the concept of the shattered mirror. When a mirror breaks, you cannot put it back together to show a perfect reflection. If you try to glue the pieces back, all you get is a distorted, jagged image that cuts your hands every time you touch it. The violence of self-improvement is the desperate, bloody attempt to glue the mirror back together. Zen asks us to do something much more difficult. Leave the pieces on the floor. Accept that the mirror is shattered permanently. The old reflection is gone forever. But notice how the sunlight still catches the broken shards on the ground. Notice how the sharp edges are a reality of their own. You do not heal from heartbreak by erasing it or reframing it. You heal by allowing the heartbreak to radically alter your internal geography. You let it break you. You surrender entirely to the breaking. Consider the lotus flower, a recurring, powerful image in Buddhist thought. The lotus does not grow in clear, sterile, optimized water. It requires mud. It requires the dark, the rot, the decay of the swamp. If you try to clean the water, if you try to extract the mud to make the environment perfect and hygienic, you kill the flower. Your neuroses, your pain, your traumatic history, that is your mud. You have spent your entire life trying to filter it out. You have spent thousands of dollars and agonizing hours trying to turn the mud into crystal clear, drinking water. Stop the mud is precisely where your power lies. Every single flaw you despise about yourself contains the exact nutrient needed for your genuine evolution. Your volatile anger contains your capacity for fierce protection of the innocent. Your deep, paralyzing sadness contains your capacity for profound, world-altering empathy. Your existential dread contains your capacity for brilliant artistic creation. By trying to eradicate the symptom, you are destroying the cure. So, how do we step out of this trap? How do we stop the invisible violence of self-optimization? We must practice the lost art of letting things fall apart. You must cultivate a radical indifference to your own flaws. I do not mean you should become cruel, reckless, or destructive to others. I mean you must stop viewing your internal struggles as 5-alarm emergencies that require immediate intervention. When the heavy wave of depression hits you on a Tuesday afternoon, do not rush to the medicine cabinet of self-help quotes. Do not interrogate the feeling to find its origin. Sit in the chair, feel the physical weight of the sadness in your bones. Say aloud to it, "You are allowed to be here. You are a part of the uncarved block." When the sharp, bitter spike of jealousy hits you because you saw someone else succeeding, do not shame yourself. Do not rush to practice forced gratitude. Feel the ugly, burning sensation of the jealousy. Recognize it as your shadow speaking its truth. Acknowledge it. Let it burn straight through you. It is only when you stop resisting the fire that you realize it cannot actually burn you to ashes. The grand irony of the human condition is that true change happens when we completely and utterly abandon the desire to change. This is the central paradox at the heart of both Zen and Jungian psychology. As long as you are trying to be someone else, even a vastly better, more spiritual version of yourself, you are locked in a state of self-rejection. But the exact moment you look at your messy, contradictory, broken, chaotic life, and this is it, and it is entirely enough, something miraculous happens. The tension dissolves in your jaw. The basement door stays open, and the monsters realize they are finally safe. They stop howling in the dark. The block remains uncarved, but it finds its natural place in the forest. You stop being a broken project to be fixed, and you finally become a human being to be experienced. You are not a machine. You are a living, breathing paradox. You are allowed to be deeply flawed. You are allowed to carry wounds that will never fully close. You are allowed to be entirely unresolved. If you made it to the end, comment "The mirror remains shattered," and I will personally reply to you. And if this resonated with you, subscribe to be part of this and leave a like if you enjoyed it.